Good evening, it's 10 o'clock. I'm Amanda Klein with your CTV News update. Currently 20 degrees, weather details in minutes. Here's what's making news right now. At least 12 people were injured in an accident in Saint-Michel-des-Saints in the Lanaudière this morning. Police say the driver of a van carrying 10 passengers lost control at around 11 o'clock. At least one person was taken to hospital in serious condition. The SQ says the driver may face impaired driving charges. The largest powwow in Quebec is
fucked
back
up that
after
early in the
being
morning?
canceled for 2 years. Taria Isri reports.
Thousands of people gathered in Ganawage for the first powwow since the pandemic. The day was filled with food, dancing, and ceremony. Veteran and Ganawage resident Eugene Montour says he's never seen crowds this big.
Really?
It's pretty exciting because
That is cool.
looking around here, it seems like we've got two years worth of people here.
This marks the 30th anniversary of the event, which attracts performers and tourists from across North America.
Yeah.
Taria Isri, CTV News, Ganawage.
Abortion rights activists in the U.S. are still protesting 2 weeks after the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade.
Why are we still even talking about this?
Thousands of abortion rights protesters marching in Washington, D.C. and then sitting in front of the White House. This woman says taking a stand is worth the risk.
I do have the privilege to be able to afford a fine for civil disobedience.
On Friday, President Biden signed an executive order to protect some access to abortion rights, but that has not stopped trigger laws. At least 14 states have halted nearly all abortion services. Yuni Han,
What
ABC
the
News.
fuck, dude?
And the U.S. basketball star detained in Russia, who has pleaded guilty to drug charges, is about to get some high-powered help.
Headed to Russia in the next week, Bill Richardson, an experienced negotiator in foreign prisoner situations. The former New Mexico governors try to get a deal to free the detained WNBA star Brittany Griner. That from the source with knowledge of the planned trip to ABC News. Richardson played a role in getting the prisoner exchange in May, in which Russia released the U.S. Marine Trevor Reed after nearly 2 years in captivity.
Returning to play basketball in Russia, Griner was first detained in Moscow in February. Police say they found vape canisters containing cannabis oil in her luggage. You can follow us on Twitter at cjad800. With the latest now from the CJAD 800 Traffic Center, here's Mark Shalhoub.
Avoid the Jacques Cartier Bridge until 11:30 because it's closed in both directions. The fireworks also causing the 136 eastbound closure from the Guy exit to the Atwater entrance. And it's a mess trying to get off at Guy. Atwater is no picnic either.
Why?
Don't even think about using the reserved bus/taxi lane. The inbound Victoria is the only way to use that span until 1:30 p.m. on Monday.
It's only one lane, though.
Champlain Bridge will get into the act for the second of 3 weekend night closures. Midnight is when they'll close 2 lanes for Remwart. You'll be able to use the reserve lane during that time. Each side of the Peanut Bridge is also closed now until Monday at 5 a.m. Scotiabank's ultimate and preferred packages have unique rewards for unique people like you. Visit scotiabank.com/ultimate300 to see how you could be rewarded. I'm Mark Shalhoub, CJ 8800 Traffic and Transit, next at 10:30.
Your Dormez-vous Weather Center forecast: clear tonight with a low of 15 degrees overnight, sunny again tomorrow and a high of 27 degrees, and a mix of sun and cloud and 30 degrees on Monday. It's 20 right now downtown. For all the news during the day, stream us on your smart speaker. Just say play CJAD 800. Your next CTV News update is at 11 o'clock.
Welcome to the Social Podcast, where no discussion or debate is off limits.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to this edition of the Social Podcast. I'm Melissa Grello, and I've got my crew with me. That's Cynthia Loy, Lainey Louie, and Jess Allen. And as an extra special treat, joining the panel today, actor, comedian Darren Rose. Welcome back. Nice to see you, Darren.
It's been a while. It's delightful to be here.
Yes, I know you've got a little one who's almost 1 at home. You've been real busy.
I've been, my wife's been busy. More work, for her than me. For me, it's just delightful. Oh my gosh, she's so adorable. My wife's like, I'm exhausted. Yeah. Oh my God, I'm going to shoot you. I'm like, isn't this fun? We got a new outfit.
Well, great to have you here. We can't wait to dive into some of those parenting stories. But first, we are diving into one which is going to definitely affect some parents and beyond. We are kicking things off with some really big news coming from the sports world. So the federal government is putting Hockey Canada's funding on ice in the wake of the organization's response to an alleged 2018 sexual assault and subsequent out-of-court settlement. An independent investigation will now be launched to look into how Hockey Canada dealt with the allegations. So Hockey Canada maintains no federal money was used in the undisclosed settlement. A lot to unpack. Let's first begin with
what?
Story. Well, online, it seems like everyone is supporting this funding freeze, and no one seems outraged over the Minister of Sport saying that this is a deeply entrenched culture. Those were his words. And in the past, many Canadians haven't even been able to stomach hearing about that culture. And that culture, I think it's all connected to the sexual assaults, the bullying, the hazing, the racism, the toxic masculinity, the violence. It has been reported on for a long time, but it feels like every time it's reported on, at least in recent years, I know because my name's often attached to anything online when a hockey story comes out. The writer sort of begins to sort of wax poetic about the culture of hockey, you know, the sound of blades on ice, and how could this ever happen in this great sport of ours. They react like it's the first time they've heard about this deeply entrenched
but
culture.
you know what? They do it. They do it with
the Globe and Mail was publishing
Native
a story
babies
about this
being
culture
buried.
called
They
What
do
Happened to
it
Hockey.
for
In
a
the
lot of
70s,
other
there were
things as
multiple
well.
investigations and committees created with the goal of solving violence in hockey.
Like, don't fucking tell me you guys did not fucking know that there are Native babies that were First Nations babies that were fucking had raised, buried, fucking
somewhat of a hero.
residential schools. Like, don't fucking tell me you guys did not know.
Against the Canadian Hockey League on behalf of players who suffered
Fucking don't
physical,
hear that shit.
mental, and sexual abuse during their time playing in the junior league.
It's
And
fucked up.
2019, the New York Times wrote, the television personality Jessica Allen drew backlash for criticizing hockey culture in Canada, specifically mentioning white boys who are often bullies. She and her network, CTV, later apologized for those remarks. Think about that. Just 2.5 years ago, I had to apologize for saying something about hockey culture. So it's 2022. I'm a glass half full kind of gal. Maybe this is the moment that things will change, that the country will listen,
here's the thing.
and organizations may act in a meaningful way.
Tamara Lynch is in jail right now because of fucking women like this.
I mean, Darren, do you follow hockey sports in particular? I mean, culturally, it's not.
Because you did apologize, didn't you? That's why you still have a job.
Well, yes,
It's called
across
selling
sports,
the
it's also
fuck out.
across entertainment, the idea that, especially like hockey, junior hockey is a real lottery. Some of these kids are going to go on to be rich and famous people.
It's not a lottery. It's not.
And people want to
Shouldn't be anyway.
the people who are going to be rich and famous, and they want to protect their relationship with the people
Why
who
do
are
our
going to be
hockey
rich and
players
famous.
need to be
And that's
rich?
the hard thing to break through in sports and entertainment and all that, is people have a vested
Why do our
interest
sports people
in,
need to be rich, but our doctors and nurses go into debt until they're 50?
And so I think as a culture, from 2.5 years ago, where it was something maybe you would get in trouble for just being like, hey, this seems bad. And I think now kind of like the society is kind of like, we should try to stop things that are bad for people who can't stop them themselves. You know what I mean? It's like, and of course that's a good thing. It's good for everyone. And also it creates a culture. You know, you're teaching, these are kids, right, in junior hockey. These are young people learning how to live their lives. And then they grow up and become adults who have learned this behavior and what's okay and what's not okay and how to treat people.
Watching their parents
and then
beating
it
the crap out of each other
adults,
over a little league game.
Kyle Beach were
Children
victims
playing a
of
sport
crimes as
and
well.
you're fucking beating the crap out of each other.
As a society, we should be trying to fix things from the ground up. It's a pretty good idea. And it's good to see that everyone thinks the funding freeze is a good idea.
It's honestly like a religion to you guys. It's
you know, when I took a look at the
fine, whatever, but now it's too much.
Juniors team, and I looked at, you know, the juniors, as you said, that's the next stop is probably getting scouted into the NHL if they weren't already.
Right.
There's at least 5 names on that team of, I don't know, 19, 20, 21 guys from the 2018 team. There's at least 5 who are massive superstars in the NHL today.
Right.
Now, there are allegations that 8 members of the 2018 juniors team sexually gang assaulted a young woman. 8 of a team of, let's say, 20 guys. So I don't know. I'm going to throw a full-blown hypothetical out there because we have zero details because there's a lot of secrecy around this and protection, perhaps. What if one of these massive stars in the NHL today gets implicated and named publicly? Will he get named publicly? So this is where I realize when you put the money where your money where your mouth is. This is not about
what
hockey,
you did not do.
It's not about sports first to me. This is literally a situation where our culture has to ask, whose rights are more important? Right. A sports hero's rights or an alleged rape victim?
No. Because people will always go with their fucking family. They say they do this for their family. They're fucking liars.
So you think about the alleged victim here and maybe not your favorite hockey hero.
Yeah. It's not just young girls who have been implicated, though. There's been many stories about hockey coaches and the treatment of young boys. So but to go back to this particular story, I can't help but wonder, like, what, as a mother of a son, you know, any mother of any son will tell you they come out no different than anybody else, right? Like they're young and they're cute and they're vulnerable and they're funny and they're quirky.
That's the same answer we got.
What happens between
boys will be boys.
Stage and what I'm already starting to see?
He had no consequences.
He's not particularly sporty. He's surrounded by a bunch of very sporty kids, and already I can feel he feels ostracized. He feels outside of it, and I have this dilemma because I know sports are wonderful for kids. And yet gendered sports, when you talk about
the parents, they ruin it.
There's a lot of dark side.
It's the fucking parents that ruin it.
Exclusive to hockey. But I worry about taking this person who's lovely and kind and generous and sweet, and I'm not saying that can't be possible, but it's a bit of a toss of the dice.
No, you let your sons get away with this.
At what point do things turn toxic, or could they turn?
You say boys will be boys. You have a daughter.
Uncomfortable. Would I know about that? Because many parents will immediately jump to, oh no, not my kid's team. No, that isn't happening here. But what if it is, and you just can't see it? All I know is that we don't hear allegations of women's hockey teams or women's soccer teams that look like this.
Kim LaPierre, I used to have her signature on my skating bag.
In the same way that right now we've been criticizing the Catholic Church, for example, no one is saying Catholicism is terrible. No one is saying that good people and good leaders and whatever. But what we are saying is that for many years, lots of stuff was going on and it was covered up. And it needs to come to light, and people need to look at their garbage and they need to look at problems in institutions, and they need to do better. So unless we start looking at it critically and being able to say, you know what, yeah, there is a problem, we got to do it. We continue to make recognizing that this story is not exceptional. That's right. Sadly, as sad as that is. Yeah. Well, I think that's what you pointed out, where the minister called it a culture problem. That indicates that it's a systemic institutional problem, that it's not just a few bad apples. Because, you know, in those reports that we have been reading about over the last few days, they've said this wasn't a one-off incident. No. There are 2 others that were being investigated. They said that this happens once or twice a year. It's a pattern. So again, to go back to what you're saying, Cynthia, it's a culture. And I think for a long time, a lot of people in this country didn't want to see it that way because it's so closely identified to what certain Canadians identify as being part of the Canadian identity, persona, whoever. And, you know, to go back to those kids that you're talking about, and Jaya, it was almost like, you're not Canadian if you don't do this. Correct. And you're not Canadian if you don't love it. And you're not Canadian if you don't defend it. And what does defending it look like? Actually not listening to somebody when she's telling the truth. Wow. And so what we have to do is unpack all of that. Can this example do that? I want to have hope, Melissa. I want to have faith in the system, but the cover-ups and the costs and who they're protecting, they're prioritizing, have always prioritized the superstar net.
You guys fucking are the same ones who are literally just ruining the feminism movement. If there ever was like women's rights movements, you guys are the ones who fucking ruined that with your fucking, you guys are pussies. If you know sexually, like that there is for sure someone who is being sexually assaulted, you don't fucking just be like, well, everyone told me, yeah, shut the fuck up. Or I'll lose my job. Who does that? I'm sorry, like Tamara, that's why Tamara Lynch is in jail, basically. Because she won't back the fuck down. And she's standing her fucking ground. Right? Otherwise, for mischief, for breaking her probation, for going to a fucking dinner with, like, where there was hundreds of other people? Pussies.
The last team standing.
Oh, of course. Honestly, no, like, I don't know. That's the same answer we fucking got. Boys will be boys. And my mom knew that we could do the whole 9 yards thing, but it would just traumatize the shit out of everybody. And nothing would happen. And it would never be resolved. It would just make more hostility around it. So she would have killed him, and I appreciate having a mom. So, but if she pursued it, I think she would have ended up fucking killing him. And it's not his fault either. It's his mother's fault. For, like, even though she has a daughter, it just I honestly, and if it's a cultural thing, that's great and all. That's not like, well, not great, whatever, but like, that's your fucking thing. I don't give a shit what your culture, your religion, your color. I don't give a shit about anything. If you are hurting somebody like that, that is not okay. I don't give a shit what your excuse is. They're a different culture. No, I don't care. It's not an excuse to fucking touch somebody in a way they don't want to be fucking touched, and they tell you that no, and you do it anyway. This is wrong. Like, this is so wrong. I'm not saying that every time a girl fucking cries rape that everybody should, like, immediately just, like, give her the benefit of the doubt right off the bat. Like, I'm not saying that either, because I've known a lot of girls that just kind of like, oh, well, afterwards I wasn't sure if I really wanted to, and it's just like, he wasn't fucking paying attention to my nonverbal cues. Fuck your nonverbal cues. Fuck your nonverbal cues. You don't feel comfortable anymore at any point. You say you're not comfortable and you're not sure, and, like, just give me a sec, and I just, like maybe we'll continue, but, like, just, I need a second to stop. That's it. At any point that you feel uncomfortable, and women need to tell their kids that. Like, nonverbal cues, I get that. Like, asking if the person's, like, obviously, if the girl's fucking crying, maybe, or, like, maybe fucking don't have one-off fucking one-night stands with people. Like, one-night stands is a fucked up thing. Like, I'm sorry, like, have a conversation about it first. Like, know if the person, like, is walking fucking airborne AIDS, like, you first. I don't know, like, do you guys really need to be having fucking one-night stands? Fuck. Maybe I am just a prude. I don't know. Maybe I'm a frigid bitch. I don't fucking know. I'm not ashamed of my body, but I'm not fucking, it's not for everybody to just fucking get a free show, you know? It's not fucking rocket science either. Like, it's not fucking complicated. It's very, very clear what the fucking issue is. Like,
no matter how much you owe, you don't need to do this alone. To get help, call 1-800-288-4991. That's 1-800-288-4991. Let Consolidated Credit get you back to a debt-free life. Call 1-800-288-4991. Make the call today, toll free at 1-800-288-4991. Ontario license number 4705786. iHeartRadio, Canada's #1 streaming app for radio. Stay informed wherever you are with all your favorite talk hosts. Luckier me, and we settle our disputes through elections and talk radio. iHeartRadio. Anytime, anywhere. Now with personalized playlists
Shit.
Download the free iHeartRadio app today. You're listening to the Social Podcast on the iHeartRadio Canada Network. Download the show wherever you find your favorite podcast. And make sure to catch The Social weekdays at 1 p.m. on CTV.
Welcome back to the Social Podcast. Actor and comedian Darren Rose is joining the panel today. Plus, Lainey Louie, Cynthia Loyce, and Jess Allen. Jess, take it away.
Okay, so this is a juicy. Would you tell your friend if you saw her husband on a dating app? One woman is taking her quandary to the Washington Post advice column. She feels her friend should know, but she's afraid, of course, of causing drama. Darren, very curious. What would you do?
I don't know. Are you like the shittiest fucking friend in the world?
Is afraid of causing drama. Is there another reason to
I hate people.
Darlene, I wanted you to know. Listen, I don't like to stick my nose in where
I really, really, really hate you people.
we do sit next to each other sometimes at PTA meetings. I want you to know. Get out of here. Of course, that's this woman's goal. But also, yeah, I mean, first of all, that's all she wants to do is stir up stuff. Also, the name they gave in the real story, they're like, we'll call him Jed. Like, Jed? Where is this taking place? What's a common man's name? Jed. Jed. He was on the app Farmers Only, trying to meet somebody. Yeah, I mean, the whole thing's insane. I mean, I wouldn't tell. I'd be like,
You wouldn't tell.
I'd be like,
What?
you guys need to settle this yourselves.
Excuse me. Are you serious?
You see his wife.
I would say, so the woman is saying, should I tell the wife who doesn't know her husband's on the dating app?
Yeah.
You tell someone, you should.
Because he's a
tell
fucking
her.
scumbag.
I'm going to tell her if you don't.
I did that. Okay, so
Really?
I did this in real life. Yeah, I was in university and I was friends with two people. I was friends with both of them, and they were a couple. She went away for the summer to go be at a camp counselor or whatever, and then he was there and he started dating my friend. I assumed that they had kind of just had an agreement and been like, we're separating for the summer.
Right.
But then my friend came back from camp. She's like, I think it's a bit weird because I'm getting a distance feeling from so-and-so. Let's call him Jed. Jed feels a little bit distant from me. And I was like, oh, so I called up Jed and I was like, you've been dating my friend Julie. And so you better let her know. He did not. So I let my friend know. I did. Fair warning. They stayed together, and then it became very awkward.
And did you lose out on this friendship?
I did to some degree. I felt for a little while. I'm still friends with her to this day. I talk to him less, but I did feel the impact.
Together still?
No. No. But it's tricky when you get involved.
No.
It is tricky.
No.
All of a sudden in the middle of this relationship, which you don't know, maybe
need
they had
to
an agreement
stick
or
together.
whatever.
All the above.
Yeah, I always feel
You
it's like,
need
well,
to have each other's backs.
Oh, wow.
How would you
Like,
feel
to
if
point
your
earlier,
boyfriend was cheating on you
what
and
made
your
her
friend
take
didn't
his
tell
course?
you?
In these situations, it's always going to be drama, whether or not you intend to start it or not. So my thing is that on this dating app, the friend was single. I don't know.
Go ask
what
him
names are we
first.
giving?
Hey, I saw you on a dating app.
Okay.
Is it one that maybe you forgot to take off? Because you should probably fucking take it off.
Helga and Jed.
Jed swiped on Helga, who knows Jed's wife.
Right.
So if you're Helga, you're like, oh, I'm getting implicated in drama because he chose me. He wants
Presuming
to
that
get
he knows
with
Helga.
He
That's
wants
true.
to
That's
get with me. So I understand where you were like, yeah, they all want to start drama. I get it, but drama already. Because even if Helga's like, oh, I won't say anything, inevitably, like,
Are you like 16-year-olds? Like,
start, and the woman who
like
ends up
drama.
having and agreeing doesn't know he's married, and then sees maybe they go out on a date.
Grow the
Maybe
fuck
somebody
up.
sees them. Now she's a homewrecker. Now she's like, oh, I didn't know that this guy was married. I didn't know they had an open relationship. If they haven't disclosed the open relationship to the rest of their friends, now the friends are calling me the kind of woman that would date a married man. Then it's drama. Naturally, this is all drama. I can't follow this. So would you tell her not? Would you avoid the I need a flow chart? Screen cap and drop it in the group chat is what I probably would do. My God. I'm with you. And I think Deb on Facebook might be with you too. Okay. She writes, that's a hard question to answer having an ex-husband who cheated. No one wants to tell the wife, and she does not need to know. But
someone
be
with a
prepared, because
conscience.
it's often the
That's what that's
messenger that
called, by the
takes
way.
the lead.
You know that feeling that you
Approach
get when
carefully
you
and
do
be prepared
something
to
you
lose
know
at
you're not
least the
supposed
husband
to?
as a friend.
That thing is called your
Oh,
conscience.
girl,
Who
I
cares
feel
about
for
the
you.
husband's friendship?
Yeah, who cares about him?
Be prepared. as
He's a
big
cheating
church
fucking
doesn't wanna
piece of
be your
shit
friend anymore.
scumbag.
Oh my God. Put yourself in the other person's shoes, though. If I didn't know and didn't have an open relationship with my husband, and I had friends around me, and I didn't know that they knew that he's creeping around on the.
Can we just stop with the open relationship shit?
Like, hey, you'd get the app. And
Just
you'd
stop.
Be like, let's just pretend that we're single. And you like,
Just say you're single.
That's how you do it.
Oh my God.
And this is someone I fucked once in a while.
Let's write a note. An anonymous note that your boyfriend is cheating on you. Do you know how many times my girlfriends and I did this? Where you stuck it in the desk? Yeah, you put it somewhere where your friend is going to be. Because no one wanted to be the messenger that got caught in the crosshairs. So you write a note,
Pussy,
just wanted to
pussy,
let you know you check out
punk
your boyfriend's
bitches.
cheating on
That's
you.
what that
You put
is.
it, I don't know, in her bag. You put it at her
No,
desk,
tell
and
her
then
to
you
your
let nature
face.
take its course. And then
Let's
you're like,
bring that into adulthood. Write a little note, airdrop it.
We're going to switch gears just in time to beat the summer heat. You heard it here first. Ketchup popsicles? I know. It's disgusting sounding, at least to me. This classic condiment is joining the popsicle party, apparently.
oh, Kwame!
Unlucky us. Oh, we are going to be trying
show, Darren.
Why would you do this to me?
Day for you to come to our show. You didn't know that you were doing Fear Factor?
Oh my God.
I did not
What
know
do we
that.
think
Oh
of this
my!
I think
idea?
it's a
We're
gross
gonna
one.
find out, everyone.
Okay, try
I'm
it.
not gonna wait because they're melting.
Oh,
I just all the
broken.
are want to
Okay.
do. Okay. Oh my God,
I'm
so
sorry.
excited. Can I have a? Wait, hold on. Nope.
If neither of them are your
You know what's
friends,
wrong
then
with this
butt the fuck
popsicle?
out.
It tastes
But if
like
it's somebody you
ketchup.
consider to be one of your friends,
That's what it tastes like. I'm done. Ketchup.
you definitely need to tell your friend about
Coming
stuff
around
like
on an
that
app.
because
It tastes like a
what-
Caesar. Yeah. Why do I want it? My head can't do it. Because when I see that beautiful shaped thing, I want to put it in my mouth and I want to taste strawberry. I want to taste lemon lime.
Yeah, totally.
When he's almost done, I just want to say, she's almost done.
What
She's
is wrong
almost
with
done.
you?
But I do not want to taste it. So good. A Caesar cocktail. You know why? Because a Caesar to me is never cold enough. And this is like
Perfect.
frozen Caesar.
If there was
I
vodka in
think
this, I
they
would eat
shove
it.
so much stuff. But presumably that also doesn't have vodka in it. So does that matter?
It could.
Darren, what's your take?
Yeah, if there was vodka in it, I would eat it. But yeah, some things aren't meant to be frozen.
Yeah.
We'll file this under crime against humanity.
Yeah, I think so.
It never comes back. You're like, what?
I can't believe you did
Speaking
this.
of vodka, I don't know if this is a segue or not. You have a new comedy tour
I do.
called Drinking in Public. Maybe it includes
It is.
frozen ketchup, Caesar.
Get real now. We're giving them away free at every show.
Exactly.
Ketchup popsicles.
There you
Caesar
are.
popsicles.
Look,
There
it
I
looks like
am.
it could be in your glass, or it could be this in that glass. Anyway, tell us about the tour and tell us about
A
the show.
martini glass full of ketchup. Delicious. It's called Drinking in Public because of COVID, and finally, it's maybe it's not done. We don't know. Who knows? Maybe it'll never be done, but at least we can drink in public again. So I'm going around and telling jokes about what I was up to over COVID, which was having a baby and renovating a house. We bought a house, and I thought, I could renovate this. And it turns out that's hard. And I did not know that because everything I knew about renovating a house I learned off of TV. And they have editing and also skilled contractors. So they have two things I don't have. So so it's about that. And the time I got sucker punched in Halifax.
Whoa! Oh my God!
Yeah, I got my whole face smashed up. My cheekbones were collapsed.
Oh my God!
My
Show. What
yeah, when I was shooting Mr. D, I was waiting in line for poutine, and the guy behind me was very angry about how long it takes to get poutine. It's true.
Oh my God!
Yeah, and to get my face put back together, I had surgery to pop your cheekbones out.
And now you're finding the humor in that somehow. Yeah, that's just what you do.
Did you ask the surgeon to look more like Jason Sudeikis? Oh my God! I was just gonna ask that. I was just gonna ask that because it's your free shot. So it's like, well, I'm not gonna be mad if you do.
I should have said Ryan Reynolds. What a mistake.
Wow. Listen, Darren, you're in one piece. Glad you're here. Glad
Oh,
you're
look,
able to go
the
to
bus is
Brooklyn.
pulling
And thanks for
over
joining us
to
for all
the-
topics under the sun today.
Thank you for everything except for the ketchup popsicle.
That's a bus stop now.
Still to come on the Social Podcast.
Canada's Drag Race stars Brooklyn Heights and Brad Goreski. Plus, we speak with a Canadian volunteer who went to Ukraine on her own to help families caught in the war. Don't miss it.
Why is that the dark?
CJAD 800 Traffic Center. Stay away from the 136 eastbound, closed from the Guy exit until the Ottawakan entrance because of fireworks wrapping up at 11:30. That's when they'll also reopen both sides of the Jacques Cartier Bridge.
Like
the Victoria Bridge is one-way traffic to Montreal, and this until 1:30 p.m. on Monday. The outbound Champlain Bridge will have 2 lanes closed for rim work as of midnight, wrapping up at 6 tomorrow morning. The Peanut Bridge boarded up on both sides until Monday at 5 a.m. and the 440 east at the 15 has 1 out of 2 lanes shut until 9 tomorrow morning. I'm Mark Shalhoub from the CJAD 800 Traffic Center with your next report at 11 o'clock.
Ooh, those are some bright lights.
It's the ultimate race across the country.
Woo!
Who will
You are
be
fast.
the last team standing? The Amazing Race Canada. All new Tuesday at 9, 8 Central, only on CTV.
Rock marks moments in time. And only one radio station has been doing it in Montreal for over 50 years. It's your Rock Fix. From the spirit of rock. Jones 97.7.
No one likes what-if questions. Like, what if a loved one can no longer live alone? Chateau Dollard has the answers. The finest care, devoted staff, all in a cozy West Island setting for 30 years. Call 514-685-4444 or visit chateaudollard.com.
The wealthy invest differently. The Gary Simpson,
No, they don't.
partnered with Mandeville
Because the
Private
poor don't
Clients,
invest at all.
preserves and creates wealth for clients by providing access to a diversified suite of public, private, and alternative investment opportunities typically reserved for the wealthy. Life is an art that knows no bounds. Plan accordingly. Using is a member of the Investment Industry Regulatory Organization of Canada and a member of the Canadian Investor Protection Fund.
My parents got engaged there. They don't take me and my sister there anymore because we embarrass them too much, apparently. Because we think it's fucking hilarious. She's like, what? It was romantic. You're like, yeah, really romantic. We got engaged at Bar and Bars. It was so romantic right under the moose head. Excuse me, where's your bathroom? It's out back.
For full service by appointment only, call 514-481-2368. They always have your best interests at heart, so rest assured they've taken the necessary precautions to ensure your safety. As dispensing opticians, they have a great selection of creator frames to choose from. Add to that their attention to detail and service with a smile. That's service you can trust. That's the family touch.
It's so funny. I saw a truck once that I don't think that the person who could have done the printing on the side of that truck could have not seen that somehow. It said service you can cunt on. Right where the O was. It had a part like a board or whatever, or like a divider. And it didn't make it seamless, I guess.
Online at cmtextiles.com and on social media at cmtextiles. Wow, this room looks gorgeous. Thanks. Come on in and take a closer look. Should I take off my shoes? Why? This is the garage. Imagine a new decorative coating for your garage floor and make it happen with Premier Sealers Epoxy Floor Coatings. Reduces dust, easy to maintain. You choose the color for an attractive, durable finish. Find out more about it and their other services at PremierSealers.com. GAA recommended. Seal you later.
Life is better framed. Booking an appointment for your custom framing helps us give you the time you deserve.
Hi, we're Tanya and Matt of Love Frame Shop, and now you can book your appointments with us online.
Simply click the link on our website, choose from the menu, and schedule.
See, this is where contouring actually does come in handy.
Get a 10% discount.
At Love Frame Shop, we help you frame the stuff you love and love the stuff you frame.
Just go to loveframeshop.com, book, save, and find out why we say life is better framed.
Are you running a startup or just trying to get your established business back on track?
You need to take care of the bookkeeping and the financial.
Why do I know this?
Matheson Consulting can help.
Face fader,
They'll do your
like
accounting
theatrical.
So you can focus on the operation.
Face fading.
They'll take care of filing your corporate tax and business loans.
It's the only time that contouring would be ever necessary because they used to use lanterns on stages and it used to make a shadow on all of the not complimentary parts of your face. So you would do like heavy on top of the eyes and you would make the underneath like white so it illuminates. At least that's what.
This is CJAD 800. Listen anywhere, anytime at cjad800.com, the iHeart app, or on your smart speaker.
Next week on The Social, prepare to be amazed.
Can I just say it sucks that I used to always work on Canada Day and now nobody celebrates Canada Day anymore.
Successful garage sale. The Social, weekdays at 1 p.m. on CTV.
Welcome back to the Social Podcast on the iHeartRadio Canada Network. I'm Melissa Grello, alongside Cynthia Loyce and Lainey Louie. Joining us now, we are thrilled to have the Queen of the North.
They don't sound like
Brooklyn
real
Heights, and celebrity stylist and Canada's Drag Race judge, Brad Goreski, on the panel. Hey, let's dive right in. Cynthia.
Okay, a woman wrote to the advice columnist at The Cut wanting to know if she should tell her dates that she's rich.
It really depends. I mean, if she's comfortable with the fact, the idea of people using her for her money, I mean,
she seems like it.
Well, yeah, why not? I mean, it'll be easier to bag a man. I can guarantee you that. If you're like, by the way, I'm loaded, so don't worry about it. Like, obviously, people are going to be more interested, but it's only
that was like kind of like Sean.
With the fact that people will be using her for her money.
You don't think she can find?
He did not tell me he came from money, and there was like a legitimate reason for that.
She's looking for true love, and she's telling people she's rich on the first date.
Really?
Or maybe she's just looking for somebody in her bracket, like someone who could like level up with her.
I feel like it's sexier to be like go out on a date with somebody, like a few dates, and then like, you know, go to their house for the first time and be like, oh yeah, she's rich. You know what I mean?
Nah, first time I went to Sean's mom's house. And we got off at Guy Concordia, but we went the wrong way. I usually get out of Guy Concordia, I go left. The first time in my life I got out of Guy Concordia and I went right, like up the hill towards the hospital.
I wouldn't find it personally attractive, but if she's okay with it and if she wants to put it out,
it was
I think her reasoning
quite a moment.
Getting a lot of and so she was wondering if, and I think
he kind of gave the impression that
if I let them know that they can depend on me. It was an interesting twist.
Something about her retirement being $80,000, and I then realized that that means not $80,000 total, meant $80,000 a year.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Like that's my.
That was at that time because she works for Susie Kitsur. She lives next to the hospital, just under the.
Like that's the game I play Donald Trump. You did it with Donald Trump. Yeah, picture him on top of you. No matter how rich someone is, if I'm picturing.
It's when I realized why he was like 13 putting fentanyl up his ass.
In the wrong way. Then no.
Because I called him a Westie once. Oh man. He got so mad. Like really fucking mad. Ever fucking call me that. I was like, oh, I touched a nerve. Why would that fucking upset you so much? I was so confused. Like my family is desperate to be like, they're poser Westies. They just so want to be part of the rich upper class. Like
with your wife first.
because like why would you want to be ghetto? Seems like everybody's switching places.
Fine with it, and in others they might not be. And if that's something that you want to explore, I think you have to cherish and respect the relationship.
It genuinely feels like everybody's like just like, I come from money, so I'm gonna act like I'm ghetto and poor because I think it's cool. And then like all these poor people are like fucking like just like white trash mostly. We're acting like bougie fucking assholes. So this is like all kinds of fucked up.
Right. And then let the cards fall as they may after that.
I agree.
I mean,
I love this story just because I'm somebody who, when I was growing up, it was like there were only three options. You were either straight, or you're gay, or you're bisexual. And what I love about this next generation is that there's all these different kinds of identities that people are discovering. Yeah. And I often think about what it would be like if I was growing up, like
I wanted to be a dolphin.
30% of me is very attracted to women and trans men, and it just isn't. And I don't know what that's called. I don't know what that is. But even in university, I dated a guy who both a gay male friend of mine and I were after at the same time, and turns out my boyfriend at that time swung both ways. He's now married to a woman, and so whether that was the idea when we were growing up was like bisexuality wasn't even a thing. You're either confused, it's like a road stop on the way to you actually.
Buy now, pay later.
That's right.
No.
And I think now we're kind of accepting that there's different flavors. And so where I empathize with this guy is like maybe he did just kind of uncover this whole side of himself. So I go with the empathy of like I just think yes, talk. Yes, be honest with your partner, but also like good that we are even thinking about this rather than burying it deep down inside and letting it fester in some horrible
Here's
way.
the thing.
I mean, we don't know that he's not going to let it bury and fester.
Yeah, maybe
I hope he finds his way. Yeah, we really do.
Yeah.
So we're not going to have a celebrity.
Here's
here
the thing.
on this fashion trend, the Hoochie Daddy shorts. I think that's the official name of it. Take a look. They're form-fitting and they show off more leg. In fact, I think they call it in the article meat thigh meat, than any other pairs marketed to men. Okay, so, I guess, I don't know if these are the full perfect. There was another photo that came with the article that it showed you like levels, as in like length of inseam. And if you're 4 to 5 inches inseam, that's a Daddy Hoochie short.
Really?
Yeah.
I was just looking at those, and those just look like regular. I was like, okay, when's the Daddy Hoochie short going to come on? Like, that's a gym short, everybody. Relax. Straight people are so funny. They're like, look at these shorts. They're so dangerous.
I just feel like the most of the people that I know that are not heterosexual, they are whatever else. I feel like everyone that I've ever known that I've openly asked questions to, like Patrick. I remember we knew Patrick was gay since he was a 5-year-old, probably. Like 4 or 5 years old, we knew that Patrick was gay because he had a pink rat tail and he wanted to play Barbies with us. And we were like, no, boys play with cars. Boys don't play with Barbies. And they were like, guys, like Matt, Katie, just let him play with you. Like, and I remember being like a child and be like, I think Patrick's gay, you know that, right? And she was like, yeah, we know, but like, don't talk about it. Don't say anything about it. And I was like really confused, I guess. And she was like, because it's not your business. That's about it. A lot of the people that I know that are gay or bi, they don't really want to have like a global conversation about it with literally the entire fucking world. I don't know. That's why I guess a lot of gay people don't like me, maybe. But like, I ask questions, not to be offensive though. Like,
Canada Drag Race 3. We're at 3. It's coming out July 14th. What a day to celebrate, indeed. So we're into this now. We all know the assignment. What is season 3 going to bring?
Oh my goodness. More of the same, but better, I'd say. More chaos, more looks, more drama, more tears, all of it. This cast is incredible. Amazing. We fell in love with them. The personalities that we have this season are just out of this world. And we have some new challenges, which I can't wait for everyone to see. We have some incredible guest judges.
And the queens come from like coast to coast. Yeah. Vancouver, Newfoundland, Saskatchewan, like everywhere across Canada. It's such a diverse, beautiful, amazing
everybody loves
cast, and they're just so wonderful. I think the fans are going to fall in love.
Oh my! Because we've all gotten wiser and smarter watching all of the Canada's drag races. So we're wiser, and I think people are going to be expecting that the queens bring their game.
Oh, absolutely.
They definitely do.
Yeah.
And it's getting harder and harder. I mean, with the more the show goes on, it's harder to top yourself and to like come up with a new look and a new different idea on something because everything has kind of been done. So it's really cool to see how they become more and more creative and really rise to the challenge.
When season 4 gets greenlit, we'd love to come on the socials.
Good. I think we're orange enough. Hopefully we don't look like Donald Trump.
obviously ready right now. We can just go to set. We really could.
See what happened there? My eyes looked enormous.
Judge.
Still to come on the Social Podcast, the gripping first-hand account of one Canadian woman's experience volunteering in Ukraine. Don't miss it.
If you or someone you know has a problem with drugs or alcohol, you're not alone. We can help.
Oh, you don't say I'm not alone. Poor fucking David, man. Feel for that guy. Really, 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 my heart goes out to that guy. I also really hope John Jr. is still sober, because last time I spoke to that guy, he was all pissed off because he had a slip, and his girlfriend said that, or not his girlfriend, the baby mama said that you can't see the kid anymore because you fucked up. And he was all upset, and I was like, yeah, but she's doing the right thing as a mom, Junior. Like, you have to prove, like, that's part of it. Like, is if you do fuck up, you have to fucking be honest about it, and you have to prove that you want to be part of your kid's life. And if you cannot get sober, that's why it breaks my heart. Fucking the amount of times that Jennifer got sober, and it's impossible to escape here. It's impossible. You cannot get around not having somebody who is either on hard drugs or being on hard drugs. It's just like, and eventually you fucking, even if you go somewhere else rather than going back to where you grew up, you eventually circle back to the same kind of crew, I guess. I guess, like, probably the only way you can avoid it is by being like a teen mom and basically like giving up your chance to basically like live your own life. Like, that's the only way you can escape drug usage. And even then, like, I know a lot of moms who ended up being on drugs anyway. Like, is you have to literally lose your social life, and then later on in life they end up fucking partying it up super hard, like, and they're like 35, almost 40, some of them, and they're just like full on partying, but their kids are like just got into college or whatever, and they're fucking, or their kids are now in high school and they're like, yeah, I can party with my kid. It's like, no. You should not be best friends with your kid. You can be friendly, you can be on good terms and get along with your kid, but until you move out, your parents should not be your buddy. I'm sorry. My parents were always my parents, even though even when they were not like doing well mentally with their own shit, they were honest that, like, hey, I'm struggling right now and I'm going through some shit because I'm human, and I'm not, and they never involved me in any of they kept it away from us, whatever fucked up shit that they were struggling with. Like, still eventually we kind of like ended up not having to go through it, but we wanted to go through it as a family. That's why those were my happy times. So we were a family, a legit family. We were 100% real with each other. We accepted each other, even though we didn't like maybe how the person was acting at the time.
you deserve.
We still fucking there for each other 100%, love each other and accept each other. However, they always also told me, if you fucking murder somebody, I'm not covering for you. If you do something illegal, that is on you. Like, if it's something stupid, like you got busted in the park for drinking, I will definitely come and pick you up and be like, Madison, you are so grounded, you're in so much trouble, blah, 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 blah. But, like, they were like, oh, as soon as we leave, I'm going to be like, you fucking idiot. I told you not to get caught. It's only fucking, if you're going to do dumb things, don't be dumb about it. But if you do something that's really bad, like hurting somebody on purpose, they will not cover my ass. They said they will eventually come and visit me in jail. They will not like me, but they will always love me. But they may not always like me, which is fair. A lot of the time, I also don't like me. I don't like most people.
I am of Ukrainian descent. Those are my people. And so it was never a question of if I will go. It was a matter of when. And there were so many, I think most Ukrainians that I know wanted to hop on that plane. Yeah. Not everybody could. Most of my friends my age have small children. They're married. They have a job where they don't call the shots. I am none of those things. I have my own business. My time is my own. I'm not married. I don't have children. So I wasn't just going for myself. I was going for all of those who wanted to go as well, but weren't able to.
You know, a lot of times when we hear volunteer work, even in a crisis zone or not, sometimes people go as part of a larger organization. You didn't do that. You kind of just decided, I'm going on my own. So give us a sense of the kind of work that you went when you landed. What kind of work were you doing?
A little louder, please.
At first, I was in Poland, so I was helping mostly unaccompanied minors cross the border. There were so many small children whose parents were sending them with a phone number in their hand saying, please get to safety. Call us when my child makes it across the border. And so the reason I went on my own and didn't attach to an organization is because there's a lot of red tape, which exists for a reason. I understand that, but I was able to do what I needed to do in the moment and not answer to anyone but myself and whoever it was I was helping. So at the beginning, I was doing that. And later on, I was in Ukraine full time, doing anything and everything. One day, rebuilding a roof of a house that was bombed. The next day, teaching self-defense to children and moving dead bodies. Like the things that I was building stairs. This is the photo of me building stairs at a church. Like it was whatever needed to be done. I was just in a robot mode, and I did.
Wow. You spent weeks helping Ukrainians cross over the border into Poland. And this photo of you holding a baby got a lot of media attention. And the press actually incorrectly labeled you as a refugee mother. But can you tell us about the interaction that came just before this photo was taken?
Yes. So there are so many variations of this photo.
Wait, it'll click.
I carried a lot of babies. That was a very common thing. You know, these women, you have to remember, they just left their husband, whom they may not ever see again. They have their children in tow, babies, toddlers. This woman had 3 small children. They arrive at the border, and there are so many volunteers who have a good heart, want to help. And one of the soldiers reached out and said, can I help with your baby? And
as soon as the water settles,
a foreign soldier and Ukrainians doesn't really go, hand in hand. So she held on to him tighter and ran the other way. And at the time, it was so cold. So I was wearing my long sleeve jacket with a Canadian patch on it and a Ukrainian scarf. And she looked at me and with tears in her eyes, handed me the baby and said, can you take him? He's heavy. Like, I can trust you. You're a woman. You're Canadian. You're wearing the... And I speak the language, which a lot of volunteers didn't. And so I grabbed that baby and we went for a walk. I made sure they found safe travel. Human trafficking was on the rise there. So my job was to make sure that everyone made it where they needed to be safely in a safe way.
My gosh. You mentioned that some of the earliest work you did was helping unaccompanied minors to cross into safer places. We've seen so many faces of children in this. What are the stories that they told you and how are they coping? This is just, I would imagine, for anybody beyond comprehension or trying to make sense of, but what were you hearing from the kids?
The kids are so resilient. I learned so much from them. Like the first, I was in a bomb shelter with a bunch of children, and the first couple of weeks, every time the air raid siren went off, they knocked on my door to make sure, like, okay, Ivanka, we gotta go. Let's go. Do you want a blanket? And they are taught at a very early age that this is what's happening. They're not sugarcoating anything. Let's get this done. Let's do what we need to do. I was doing art therapy with a group of children, and one of the boys drew a picture of himself. There was a rocket and a cat. And I said, tell me about this. And he said, we used to have a cat, but he was bombed, so now he's dead. And that was it. It was like, this is a conversation. Children should not be having these conversations, quite frankly. But their resilience is something that I will never forget.
There are still children who are playing in rubble of Syria.
To us, how would you describe your general sense of safety on a day-to-day basis?
I took every precaution that was advised. Turn off your cell phone. Don't have a signal going when you're on the front lines. Make sure that you don't tell anyone your location. I didn't post photos until I was well out of a location, not just for my own safety, but the safety of those around me. So, some people said, oh, you're over-exaggerating. I said, there's no such thing as over-exaggeration in war. It is safe in one location until it is not. Yep. So I will follow the rules. I will do it as what I'm told to do by military.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did. I made it out. So I assumed
Who's military?
Was good advice.
Good advice. Wow. As you've been telling us, I mean, you've done everything under the sun there. So many different jobs. And some moments that were caught either on photography or other acts have sort of gained this international coverage, including the fact that you were painting flowers around bullet holes, specifically in the town of Bucha, which anybody who was watching even a little bit of news understood that town came under heavy attack and massive civilian casualties as well. Can you tell us about the man who inspired that initiative and tell us your backstory about that?
Yeah, so when I went in, my thought was I'm going to deliver humanitarian aid and leave. In 2 months, I visited 19 different cities.
Wow.
I was always on the go.
Yeah.
But
what happened to the guy that you guys had loaded 60 bullets at least into?
His experience. His son was murdered and tortured. His house was bombed, burned to the ground. And he said, I can't even walk down the street anymore without seeing the reminder of my loss in the bullet holes in my fences. I'm leaving. And I thought, okay, I understand why he'd want to leave. It's not my job to convince him otherwise, but I want to give him one final happy memory in this town. And so I don't know much about fence repair, and there were so many bullet holes, there was not much to be done there. And I thought, what can I do? And so I went and gathered up some paint and just started painting the bullet holes into flowers. And then that turned into, the little neighbor girl looking through the window was watching me do it. And so she said, can I help? And I said, of course. It's not about creating masterpieces, right?
Yeah.
And the mom said, oh, she's going to ruin it. I said, no, she's not. This is joy. This is the point of what I'm trying to do. And so from there, one neighbor, the other neighbor, and then the whole block now has flowers over their bullet holes.
Ivanka, what would you say is the biggest difference between what we see in the media happening in Ukraine and then what you've seen?
I would say it's a lot worse.
Really?
I thought I was prepared.
Yeah.
I thought I've seen it all. We see the videos, we see when you're there in person. I remember the first time I saw an actual tank, I almost vomited because you don't realize the scale of it all until you're in it.
You're talking about
inside a house that was completely bombed, and there's nothing around. This used to be someone's home. This used to be where they raised their family, and so those are images. Like I've seen things.
Just wait till you come back to your own fucking
you
town.
don't even see in the news, and so I'm learning to kind of figure out how to deal with that.
And I think that's naturally where my next question comes from: is the trauma that you have witnessed, the trauma of others that you have witnessed. I mean, let's talk about mental health for a moment here, and how are you doing, and how are you?
She's fine right now.
Coping through all of this.
Truthfully, I'm not doing so great. When I was out there, I was in robot mode. It was like, get it done, do what you need to do. A lot of us talked about that.
You'll figure that out when your parents die and you have to, or when your parents are dying.
But
I guess,
coming
and then you have to do funeral
we are
arrangements.
so privileged.
Yeah.
I remember my second day in Toronto, I was walking down the street and I started crying. Because how do I go back to this life after seeing what I saw? So I will be returning to Ukraine.
You'll never go back to that
help
life.
is no longer needed, which is hopefully sooner than later.
Ivanka, thank you so much for sharing your story and for your bravery.
It'll always
and we
be
wish you the
there
best as you head back over. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much. That's it for this edition of The Social Podcast on the iHeartRadio Canada Network. The conversation continues on The Social. That's weekdays at 1 p.m. on CTV. Join us.
Don't miss a fiery debate. Subscribe to The Social Podcast on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your favorite show.
You know what? It always fucking shocks me when there's an emergency, like if someone's dying, people that freeze up. I don't know. I just never understood. And that's why I seem to always be in this shit. It seems that, like, it looks like I'm not minding my business. Like, it looks like I'm putting my nose where it doesn't belong. I just so happen to be there. And the person who's supposed to be doing something is usually not. Like, usually, like, I'll look to the person who is supposed to be the one who is in charge, or like who's supposed to know what to do in these situations, I guess. Yeah. And they usually go. And I'm not sure why.
Knocked out payment systems for small business, shut down phone service, including 911 calls, and compounded the chaos at airports.
I lost 4 luggage with my kids. I don't have anything.
The outage also forced the cancellation of Toronto pop star The Weeknd's first show of his world tour. Among the disappointed, 6-year-old Phoenix Prince from Hamilton, Ontario, a devoted fan who dressed for the show in the singer's trademark red jacket. He was comforted by his father outside Rogers Centre, an image The Weeknd retweeted.
3 years of cancellations and COVID, and then finally the big day happens, just much like everybody else who attended the show. It hit him, and somebody ended up catching that moment where I was trying to console him.
Technology experts say the CRTC, Canada's telecom regulator,
must find ways to mitigate the effects of service disruptions.
This is critical infrastructure for Canadians. We need to understand very.
Are you trying to tell me that
what actually went
the weekend, whatever, the weekender, I don't even know what they're called. You're telling me that a concert is priority over emergency services, 911 emergency service. Oh, right, because they're protesting because you guys refuse to pay them. And you guys are saying they're sick with COVID.
Customers to watch out for scam text messages noting they don't have to do anything for reimbursement. Credits will be applied directly to their accounts. Canada has agreed to send a controversial piece of equipment from a Russian gas pipeline back to Germany. The natural gas turbine owned by Russian oil giant Gazprom was being repaired in Montreal when it got caught up in sanctions against Russia. Ukraine urged Canada not to return it, but Germany pleaded with the government to send it back. It's part of the Nord Stream pipeline, which delivers key gas supply to Germany. Russia had
what the fuck did I say?
And warned further Monday if it were not returned.
I was right.
By Russian troops in Ukraine's east and south have officials urging people.
I said Keystone XL. That doesn't matter. I was right. Yeah.
Russian missile and rocket strikes caused more widespread damage in its push to take more ground. Ukraine's governor in the region says Russia is raising true hell. Today, Canada confronted failures of the past, apologizing for the way it treated the only all-black battalion to serve in the First World War. Hundreds of black men wanting to fight on the front lines were segregated, disregarded, and met with oppression.
I'm doing victory dance. Yeah! I literally have evidence that I said this months ago.
And remembered today on the same ground they once trained on. Direct descendants of those heroes listen to songs sung in their memory. A stark contrast to the racism their ancestors endured in the Canadian military during the early 1900s.
Wouldn't that be the worst if someone had to sing at you?
Men across Canada eager to serve were being turned away from enlisting because of the color of their skin. But after much protest, the first Black No. 2 Construction Battalion was formed here in Nova Scotia in 1916. However, they were still segregated to mainly non-combat roles and were told they were not needed on the front lines. And when they returned home, they received no public recognition.
Well, my dad never ever spoke about the service time.
That was like my grandpa.
Father was one
he
of
never
those
ever talked about.
Maybe he just didn't want us to know about it, or.
No, when he had his stroke, he went back to World War II a lot.
Today, the Prime Minister apologized to the descendants for the systemic racism their relatives endured.
Well, the blatant anti-black hate and systemic racism that denied these men.
Nah, my grandfather was a huge racist on the inside.
We are sorry.
For Captain Kevin Junor,
he was a rapist,
was
also
he
child
and so many
rapist,
in the Canadian military needed to hear.
It became real. It wasn't just words. It was the Prime Minister saying, Canada did these men wrong.
Junor faced racism when he first entered the military and has now been educating others about anti-racism and inclusion.
You know, you hear the comment.
Well, personally, my grandfather, who his glasses kept falling off and breaking, and they had to always, like, because he was on boats, so he always had to get new pairs of glasses shipped into him. They got tired of sending in new pairs of glasses, so they put him in the kitchen. And the captains used to apparently wake him up in the middle of the night and be like, yo, can you make me food? And he got on their good graces by getting up in the middle of the night to make the superiors like fucking food and shit. But he said that he switched over boats, and after he switched ships, his friend's ship, his best friend, I think it was, got bombed.
President Gotabay Rajapaksa's office and nearby residents.
And he watched their ship go down. And he was like, I was supposed to be on that ship.
Mostly peaceful demonstrations turned destructive. After breaching the
I think
walls
that
and
fucked
clearing
them
the
up.
grounds, they enjoyed amenities
Among many other things.
The air conditions are running in that presidential palace while people don't have electricity in their homes.
Angry with his leadership, the protesters are calling their movement a success.
Today, the people show the nation and the international community the power of the people.
The prime minister also a target of that anger. Protesters broke into his home and set it on fire. This hours after he said he would resign, but not until a new government is formed. It is wrong for the country not to have a government at this moment, he said. A sea of protesters had made their way
This
to
is the whole world. The whole world is protesting their government. France, fucking Hong Kong has been protesting for literally fucking years. It's been like apparently just fucking terrible. Venezuela, the guy's fucking shoving a nana in his fucking mouth while his people are starving constantly. Every time he goes on TV, the guy's fucking shoving food in his face. And your citizens are starving. They're weighing out their money instead of counting it. You had one fucking job.
News that both the
Like not an economist or anything, but fucking my nana explained to me the Great Depression. Like,
until Wednesday to ensure
I get the bubble concept at least.
Heather, thank you. Japan is preparing for a parliamentary election tomorrow, 2 days after the assassination of former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. Today, crowds of mourners gathered at the site of the shocking murder.
Yeah, but I thought they were like an independent country on their own now.
Killed while campaigning for the ruling Liberal Democratic Party. They're expected
Yeah, I thought he was like
sympathetic votes, something of a successor.
Wasn't he the one telling citizens that if you see so, if you suspect someone doing drugs, you can kill them? Or is that somewhere else, maybe?
Conservative politicians in the UK will also be casting their votes soon in the search for the next prime minister. Boris Johnson resigned this week.
Honestly, I really have not been recently keeping up ever since I heard that they were doing like the Brexit thing.
More on the political upset and some of the potential candidates.
Are you going to be the next prime minister?
Rishi Sunak, the former chancellor, was one of the first to quit cabinet.
Someone has to grip this moment and make the right decisions.
Then became the first major candidate to announce his bid to replace Boris Johnson.
I ran the toughest department in government during the toughest time.
Sunak is a former hedge fund manager whose wife is the daughter of an Indian billionaire. He doesn't need money, and the timing, some say, is on his side.
By moving, you just capture the moment and you look like a leader suddenly who's noticed the end is arrived. So you're not disloyal anymore. Now you're the first person to state the obvious. And that gives you first mover advantage.
Possible
you know what? At least he's bowing out with dignity.
Called on Johnson to resign just 36 hours after the prime minister made him chancellor. In a letter, Zahawi said he did it out of loyalty, not to a man, but loyalty to his country. If people have thought poorly of me for that decision, it is criticism I am willing to shoulder.
We will be the most prosperous in Europe.
Johnson said he wants to stay in place until the fall. Not a chance, say many of his own MPs.
I think, sadly, the Prime Minister needs to be given the chance to go this weekend. We need a caretaker leader who won't run in leadership.
Other contenders include a former soldier and the current foreign minister, Liz Truss, a darling of the Conservatives' grassroots. Leadership contenders need the backing of a number of other Conservative MPs. There'll be a series of votes until they narrow the field down to two, at which point a wider Conservative base of about 100,000 will vote. Danielle Hamamjian, CTV News, London.
Turkey is rebranding itself, and Canada will start using the traditional spelling of Turkey in all official communications. Turkey's Minister of Foreign Affairs submitted an official request for an authentic spelling of its name at the UN in May. Following the move, Ottawa said it will spell it Turkeye as opposed to the commonly used spelling of Turkey. The new name is pronounced the same way.
That's what I'm gonna do from now on. I'm gonna go everywhere I go. I'm just gonna walk around going.
On their desktop computer.
It's everybody. Everybody right now is just
supporting the efforts of Inuit to protect, promote the vitality of your language.
The Institute joins a growing number of indigenous languages offered on the social media platform. Language revitalization is included in the Truth and Reconciliation Commission calls to action in Canada. Dancing, singing, and drumming are
Ganya Geha, I think is the language. Gana Sitage.
The echoes of a Proud Nation powwow opened in the Ganawage Mohawk territory today for the first time in years due to the pandemic. Ganawage has held the annual celebration of the Oka crisis of 1990.
Pretty exciting because looking around here, it seems like we've got two years worth of powwow people.
The sacred ceremony, a way to build bridges between Indigenous people and Canada. Coming up from dinner time delicacy to an out-of-control species.
You really hope so, but like I just don't.
Growing problems from a four-legged pest, plus the power of humanity and a life-changing discovery.
I don't know. I just can't imagine why fucking any First Nations peoples. I can't imagine why anybody who is Indigenous would, for whatever reason, believe that they will follow through or that they are being fucking honest, even like slightly, and it's not just all for their own personal gain. Because even when it seems like they're doing something for them, to be like, yo, we want to acknowledge that we kind of fucked up. And we kind of... Like Germany's been on timeout. They've been quiet. They know why they're on timeout. As much as it sucks to say and it hurts to say, but it
Seekers avoided getting gored this morning during the controversial running of the bulls. 7 people were treated in hospital, though for minor scratches and lacerations, following the 2.5-minute run through the streets of Pamplona. The event has drawn criticism from animal rights activists. In this country, there's an invasive species of animals with populations spreading rapidly. Wild pigs present an emerging crisis for agriculture and the environment. While the prairie provinces are hardest hit by the troublesome pest, Ontario and BC are also impacted. CTV's BC Bureau Chief Melanie Nation.
Is this you guys that are trying to push your hunters or what is used for animal control theory? Because like that is just
they don't encounter a pig when putting.
There were 7 or 8 of them. So we had the
on 25th Avenue. I saw a wild turkey. I shit you not. At first I saw it in Ranger Park, and I was just like the only one there, obviously. And there was a black man sitting on his balcony, and I was like,
so it's been an ongoing issue.
Is this, sir? Do you see this, sir? Can I please just acknowledge that you're saying what I'm saying? You saw the turkey. And the guy was just like staring at me, like smiling. He's like, oh, what the fuck? Like, little white girl, like, fucking, I'm not answering you. I'm gonna pretend like I don't see you. You're freaking out. I was like, yeah, I am totally fucking full on freaking out.
Diversification program. The animal was prized for its flavorful and lean meat. But over the years, there's been farm escapes.
And then it was walking down 25th Avenue, and I was just like, a fucking toe-to-toe.
They're incredibly adaptive. They are
in my opinion, and I think many agree with me, that this is the worst invasive large mammal on the planet.
One of the hardest hit areas has been the prairies. More than 60 Saskatchewan communities are suffering from overpopulation.
They're damaging not only cropland, they're damaging pasture land too. They're a risk for farmers.
Impacted provinces are trying to stop the spreading pigs.
Okay.
Manitoba is exploring trapping options, while Alberta has a bounty program to help eradicate them. Back in BC, where the feral population is small, conservation officers are investigating the golf course pigs. While they don't believe they're wild, they are working to contain them. Melanie Nagy, CTV News, Vancouver.
And Mounties in northern BC have arrested a driver whose vehicle contained some unusual wildlife. During a routine traffic stop, police found a baby deer in the back seat of a car. Officers believe the fawn is about 1 month old and took the animal to the area conservation office. Possession of wildlife can result in a $100,000 fine and up to a year in prison. Still ahead, back and bigger than ever. A record-breaking kickoff for the Calgary Stampede.
This past year has been challenging, with many of us facing unexpected expenses, lost wages, and rising credit card debt. We all need a little help from time to time, but it can be hard to ask for help when it comes to your finances. But guess what? You're not alone. Millions of Canadians share that feeling with you. 500,000 Canadians have found help with their debt, and so can you. With Consolidated Credit Counseling Services of Canada, they are one of the largest nonprofit credit counseling organizations.
Shut the fuck up. Why? You know, like, it's just like everybody that I know that actually helps animals. I feel really bad for I think it was Park Safari guy, who I think is getting in shit. And he actually doesn't have, like, any real, like, degree or, like, schooling or anything. He just knows from personal experience on the job, which is, like, very fucked up. That, like, fucking... I think we're going to talk. So there's not really anybody on the road. My cramps are not too bad. Just when we get hit by a car. People have been doing that recently. Or someone comes over and shoots us in the fucking mouth. Oh yeah. Okay. What? Hey? What do you think? Oh. Time is it now? 11:25. Hey, can you move? Move. What are you doing? Oh, God. My tummy does not feel too hot. I forgot to bring a plug. Can I help you, sir? Can I help you? Mr. Muggo, what you got? You got your ball. This is a very nice ball. Good job. Order. Hello. Hello. I used to be so self-conscious of people like listening to me pee potentially. And then I was like, who the fuck would be wanting to hear me pee? That's a fucking weird thing. Well, now I know. I always should have been self-conscious about my pee. Oh, I got some scary thing. Yeah. So, Jacko. What you got? You got your phone? Is that your phone? Very nice. You look like you're chewing a stogie. There we go. Wait. Yeah, okay. Yeah. That's why I go back to the car. Fuck it. I hate life. I'm gonna change it. Yeah. No. Okay. Until you want me. You know what? I set it up. I might as well play it. Need some ears. Oh, I can't do a little bit of Oaxaca. Hopefully at least me. Oh, sorry, Jack. I didn't see you there. Sorry? Oh, good. Oh, it's getting a little chilly. That's when I hop off my car, baby. Wow. Right, you gotta wait. Shit. I honestly no idea what you pay for them, so let's find out. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. This spider web. You're lovely. I like every hair. I'm gonna fucking full on freak out. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. love that. I didn't touch anything on these players. Look at it. Go to it. What's the other tab being checked with the back button? Here, try and go back one on that one. There you go. Yeah, that's why it needs to get every once in a while. Why it's never the thing website and they're always dealing with updating. The more and more that the government does their monitoring of like a red battery, just any red battery. That's not the shitty fucking new one. What did I just say? That the shitty new ones. What did I? Oh my god, we're speaking a different language? No, they don't work in that remote.
Oh.
At all. And I'm not even sure why, but apparently I all of a sudden now just decided to. Oh, wait. Nope, not even. Plastic full of them. Keep playing. I literally also need to the government Ew. I think he was talking about Kim Kardashian. Yeah. Well, that's super long ago. I don't know. I honestly don't. Here's one minute. Oh. Okay, like I tried like everything. Blinking for like 2 seconds, and now it's just not blinking at all. I just don't know. Because like that friend is basically all of that useless. So that's awesome. And I literally need it for 2 seconds, like. Just to click into the game, because I don't think this works. Yeah. Maybe, probably not. Like even like one of those things where you need like friends connecting your batteries. Well, maybe they are. It's just they're not. It could be that they're not. Sometimes stuff like that. Like what sucks is the sensor bar. You actually need a heat source. You don't really need a sensor bar. You need 2 heat handles, 2 heat sources, and you can fully force Is it? It's minus 2020 or something. I don't even know. Who cares? Let's go.
We're just going through the neighborhood and seeing if you've accepted the government into your home. No, I don't think so. I've come to share my experience at DMV. We went to DMV, we had been all our shopping and seeing and to make a title make on pizza, she looked even to do the start and took her heart. Okay. You see, Greg, once that came clean with the government, I no longer had any
Well, back to school, there is a kitchen. It's like a food.
Yeah.
Still, Greg, there's even some quotes from President Obama. Did you read this quote out there? Your local DMV is funded by your tax dollars to be efficient and proficient. Yeah. What do you think President Obama means when he says that? I have no idea. Well, we believe that he means the government loves you and it wants to forgive you if you just let the government into your heart. It's serious. I used to be like you. I go around sending the messy emails and the messy texts, putting messy pictures on my messy Facebook. But the government did forever because the government keep a file on us. So all of that did forever up in what they call a cloud. If the government check, if they go put their file in the cloud, I want to make sure I come clean about the bad ones. Maybe get those things off my record, off the cloud. Because we all live forever in the cloud. Did you follow all that, Craig? No, I don't really think I followed all that.
You get that? I just want to you say that, Mr. Evans. It's awesome.
I've done it. I've infiltrated the NSA and gained their trust.
You wasn't even my math teacher, but I was always in your class. Best teacher just fucking put. If you want to go around, there's the door. Staring at the ceiling.
Yeah. Hey, so as I'm going through people's emails and phone cards, how do I know which people to start with?
Pretty simple. Everyone has a file. People who have a status of
They
threat.
literally retired like 6 times, I think, and every time they were like begging them to come back to the village, but they can't get teachers to stay there.
Really? How big is that though?
Huh?
That is, you must have a pretty big file on Eric Cartman. All his lost emails have been watched for quite some time.
Our secretaries and
Any files on Eric Cartman?
crackpot art teachers that have math labs and illegal.
Trust me, he's not fat, not important. I think we need to change his status to rich and sweet. Excuse me. Excuse me, there's a very important threat to national security. We need to change Eric Cartman's status.
And that's when I masturbated to Game of Thrones. I know it was wrong to masturbate, and I know it was especially wrong to masturbate while on duty. Why do these people keep coming here? But I am done forever with Game of Thrones. Forever. Next, please. Thank you.
Yeah! Congratulations, brother! How do you feel?
I feel really good. Yeah! Wow, those people over there seem like they're having fun.
I can't think of anywhere I'd rather be than at the DMV with all you wonderful people. Now let's all pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag. What the hell is going on here? This is the DMV. There will be no joy here. I'm just trying to renew my license. How much longer I gotta wait? Shut up! Sit there and wait, and no cell phones or other things that pass time joyously. Now I'm gonna step to this.
Look, I am telling you that you are making a huge mistake. Eric Cartman is the NSA's worst nightmare.
Not according to the central computer.
The central computer is wrong. You need to change his status.
Sorry, but if central computer says he's not a threat, then we can't do anything.
Do anything? You're the NSA.
There's 300 million people out there. How do you think we're able to keep track of every single person in the country? How do you think we're able to really know who's doing what?
I don't know.
All right, I'll show you. This is very top security stuff. Because if people knew how we did it, then everyone would do it. Then our enemies would do it. We can't let our enemies get their hands on this.
Get their hands on what? Dude.
This is how we know who's a threat and who's not. How we know who's sleeping and who's awake. How we know that...
You think I'm fat and unimportant now? I am Eric Cartman! And I've got news for you. This is all being broadcast live on my Twitter segment and on Alec Baldwin's new television show, Be a Shitter.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to my new show on MSNBC, Free Pass with Alec Baldwin.
Your secret is out, NSA. And now that everyone knows what you're doing this down, you can kiss your program goodbyes. You should have taken me down when you had the chance. Now everyone knows the truth. And everyone's going to think I'm super cute.
Honey, what's the matter? It didn't work, man. I infiltrated the NSA, and I was a whistleblower, and I thought everyone would be super pissed off and what I exposed about the government, but nobody cares. Nobody cares that the government is listening in on everything. Nobody cares that Santa Claus is hooked up to a big, horrible machine. I know that the NSA is torturing Santa, sweetie, but they're keeping us safe. I know you can sound like everybody else. It's okay. It's not gonna be okay because now the whistleblower gets my country under the hide out in Russia. I can see. It'll be fine. How about I make you some hot tea with lemon honey? Okay. I think my hot tea and coffee is in it.
Wait.
What are you talking about, Butters? It's time to let go, Eric. Don't you see there's no other way? Just let the government in you are. It's too late for me, Butters. I have to go to Russia and live with the commodores. It's never too late. There's a place where you can start over. What's this? Your government doesn't listen in on you to punish you. Your government just wants you to be honest about your mistakes. I can be forgiven? Yes.
Oh, sorry.
Everything bad I've ever done? Yes. And then all I have to do is back to this place every time I do something wrong and admit it and I'm forgiven again. That's what it is. Eric Cartman, do you love your country? I do love my country. Do you congratulations? I pledge it. I pledge it. I believe it. Hallelujah.
You want us to kick him out of here later? No. No, leave them alone. It's a nice change to see people happy at the DMV. Perhaps we here at the DMV can start changing as well. Perhaps instead of treating people badly, we can offer them comfort, hope. Why, the DMV can be a place where people come to get things off their chest. Confess, yes, but also be told that they're worth something in this world. And then DMVs everywhere can become a place where people feel safe. And when they do something wrong, we can offer forgiveness. Don't you see what this could lead to? Don't you see what we could become? The DMV was shut down today after rampant allegations of sex with young boys. The heads of the DMV were arrested and the director stated, quote, "Hey, and came with the territory." With the DMV shut down, Americans have been asked to confess all wrongdoings at their nearest post office.
Okay.
We've just received word that the U.S. Postal Service has been shut down due to rampant allegations of sex with young boys. It now appears that the only people who can be trusted with confessions and guidance is your local news station. WXC News looking out for you, our young boy.
Now, you would mind the broadcast question about your building. What shitter? No, you heard the government is actually able to monitor all their accounts with winter accounts. But shooter, I didn't even need a cell phone. My thoughts are sent directly to the internet.
cookies so we can go sit. Come on. Yes. Okay. Hey. Come on. Hurry up. Okay, go up. Thank you. Okay, hold up. I'm not fucking doing any fucking cooking. Things probably for fucking. Are you so nasty? This fucking computer fucking. Oh my god, this is the dumbest shit ever. Why would I want my computer to be magnetic? I don't want my computer to be magnetic. Who would want that? Oh my god, this is so dumb. Don't fall. You don't choke a dog out. There. Good. Yeah.
And in some very significant ways from Burton's. Here's Randy.
We had been touring the States. There was a fear of us being drafted. We had green cards. And being drafted then, believe it was not a nice thing. They just put you in a uniform, sent you to Fort Bragg, and you went to fight in Vietnam. So we came back to Canada. We had some gigs. Got a gig offered at the in Kitchener-Waterloo at a curling club. And in the middle of one of the songs, I broke a string. And that was a 3-hour dance.
Okay, so we're back to speaking nonsense. Nothingness. Good.
And so we knew we'd take a break every hour. And so the band went down to the crowd. I stayed on the stage. I had no roadie, no tuner, no spare guitar. And I put
yeah, sounds pretty typical, actually.
Kneeling in front of Burton's electric piano, tuning to it. We used to tune to his piano every night.
That was a Band-Aid.
And as I was doing that, I just moved my fingers around and started to play.
No.
Faster and ended up going dun 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 dun, and I noticed some heads in the audience snapped around, but I thought, oh my god, I can't forget this riff. It's so simple, and it's not even a riff. It's like the guy tuning up. And then I stood up and started playing it, and I get the drummer on Gary Peters and Jim Kaelson's side, and we're playing this riff, and so Burton's out in the meeting a guy, I think was buying Gene Vincent records or something from a guy. And he didn't recognize the song, so he didn't think we were on stage. And I think somebody said to him, why aren't you on stage with the band? And I remember him coming in the back door through the crowd on stage saying, what is this? And I said, let's play something. And he played a solo. He played a harmonica solo. He played a flute solo, a piano solo. And
Yes, I'm working on it.
And the first words he sang was, American Woman, Stay Away From Me. He sang it 3 or 4 times. We soloed. He sang it again. We noticed an electricity on the stage between us and the crowd, and that just was being made up because everything we played that night was records. And we, in those days, you need to sound like the Beach Boys when you played a Beach Boys song. You need to sound like the Beatles. And so suddenly there was our own sound. I mean, we had these eyes, and it's shaking all across the sun. So this was a new sound, just like nobody had ever heard before. And then it developed. And then Burton kept adding words. I remember him coming to me in the car saying, "How about if I add in ghetto scenes and war machines?" I go, "Great. Well, that's kind of heavy, but that's great. Let's do that."
There's a lot of discussion, of course, what the lyrics mean. And Burton has gone on the record to say they kind of don't mean anything. They're stream of consciousness. I'm more or less talking about the difference between American women and Canadian women. But obviously, it seems to me that based on all the things that you had seen and the fact that you were, you had your green cards, but you were afraid that if you crossed that border, you were going to be drafted, that stuff would play into your psyche and Burton's psyche as well.
Yes, because everywhere we went, there was the big Statue of Liberty and that poster of Uncle Sam with the Stars and Stripes top hat on, pointing, saying, "Uncle Sam wants you." We toured the States, and literally we'd go to a town anywhere, Chicago, Iowa, Illinois, Minneapolis, anywhere we went. We were the only guys in these towns between 18 and 35. All the other guys who were drafted, they were sent to the jungle to fight the war. The women are kind of going crazy. Like, there's new guys in town who are like 22 years of age and stuff. Also, there was the fear of if the MPs come and get you, guys in the white helmets, and you're drafted, you're gone. You have no say, nothing. You got a green card, which means you can live in the States, pay taxes in the States, work in the States, and be drafted and sent to the jungle. We had a fear at the border. We almost got drafted. We turned around and went back to Canada, and that's how we got the gig in the curling rink in Kitchener-Waterloo. I remember phoning the agency and them saying there's one gig tonight. Wow. And we took that gig so we get enough money to go back to Winnipeg. So we did turn in our green cards when we got back to Canada.
Yeah. So that's interesting how Randy Bachman sees the song as far more political than Burton did. That's fascinating when you have the guy who wrote the lyric disagreeing with the other guy in the band. But listen to this next clip, Christopher, where I asked Burton if the story about the White the story about whether or not the Guess Who was told not to play American Women at the White House by Pat Nixon, Richard Nixon's wife, okay? So Burton blames the whole thing as a stunt by their manager. Have a listen.
It's all nonsense. We had a time that was pretty small-minded. He thought it would be a great publicity stunt if we told the press that the White House asked us not to play American Woman. That's all BS. We were never asked not to play American Woman. And we should have played it because it was probably one of the reasons we were asked to play at the White House anyway. And it backfired on us, and actually the whole White House appearance itself backfired on us. Rolling Stone took us to task. Rolling Stone crucified us for playing for the Nixons because the Nixons weren't all that popular with Vietnam and everything else. We never should have gone there. We never should have been there. And the fact is, if we were going to go anyway, we damn sure should have played American Woman. So let me clear that up for good.
Well, okay, so we got to roll this back a little bit, Tom, because there's a couple of things that sort of bother me about this. First of all, it's completely logical that if Pat Nixon had any awareness of what the song said, that she would have asked them not to play it, or that some other lower level functionary would have gone, right, you're not going to walk into the White House and sing, American Woman, Get Away From Me. That is not going to fly. That makes perfect sense. But on a parallel track, the idea that a manager would cook it up and go, hey, I got an idea. Tell them that that whole shtick, right? Listen, see, anyway, I think it's kind of pick your story here, really, because both are absolutely, totally credible. Now, as to the conclusion that they were skewered, yes, and you can see why. This was 1970. What was going on in 1970? Well, aside from the Vietnam War raging away, there were secret bombings in Cambodia which had been exposed to the public, And on May 4th, Kent State, 4 students were gunned down, and it was all heaped at Nixon's feet. So, yeah, you're going to go in and call yourselves a cool band and play in that White House? I don't think so. Such an interesting story behind a song that, whether it was intentional or not, just captured the psyche of the times and landed powerfully at #1. And I would argue that American Woman should be in the conversation for greatest Canadian song ever, as I mentioned before. Let us know what you think on Facebook at Famous Lost Words or on Twitter at Famous Lost Pod. I'll bet we're going to get some good responses on that one. I bet, yep. Tom, still to come? Why Gordon Lightfoot chose not to sue another songwriter, and how Whitney Houston fits into that story.
Find out what's on CJAD 800 ahead of time.
It's unbelievable.
With programming alerts sent right to your inbox.
I do want to bring up something because this story is just breaking now.
Whether it's live coverage of a news conference or important guests.
Hi, thank you so much for your time today.
On the program,
Thank you for having me.
sign up now at cjad800.com.
And there's more.
Every minute after a stroke begins, 1.9 million brain cells die. The best way to beat the sudden devastation of a stroke is by learning the most common signs, so you can think and fast. F, face, is it drooping? A, arms, can you raise both? S, speech, is it slurred or jumbled? T, time, call 911 right away. If you experience or witness any of these signs, act fast. Life-saving treatment begins the second you call 911. A message from Heart and Stroke. Kelly's been in there for 2 hours. Virgin Plus offers unlimited home internet at the speed you need from only $39 per month. Unlimited internet for $39 a month? Maybe I don't need a roommate. Virgin Plus also offers member benefits like discounts on food. Nice. Discounts on food, too? Kelly, we need to talk. With unlimited home internet plans and member benefits from only $39 a month, you get more in your pocket. Visit virginplus.ca or store for details. Conditions apply.
Thousands of people contact InventHelp monthly about their invention or new product. Do you think companies would be interested in your idea? Do you want to try to get a patent? Call InventHelp now. Best of all, the call and information are free. InventHelp keeps your idea confidential, explaining every step of the invention process. We create professional materials and submit them to companies who are looking for new ideas in your category. We have more than 9,000 companies who have agreed to review new ideas in confidence. If a company shows interest in manufacturing your invention, we can negotiate on your behalf. We've helped over 10,000 clients receive patents. We offer 3D modeling and animation, prototyping services, and we use state-of-the-art technology to present client ideas to additional companies. Join people just like you who made the call to InventHelp. You have nothing to lose. The call and the information are free. Call 1-800-353-6081. That's 1-800-353-6081. Again, 1-800-353-6081. Have you ever encountered sales pressure?
This is Bridget Federley of Kane & Federley Funeral Home. At Kane & Federley, our funeral counselors give you the freedom to make decisions without pressure tactics. You will only encounter helpful staff truly sensitive to the needs of your family, staff that have been part of our family for many years.
Kane & Federley, recipient of the Consumer Choice Award for 2021 and 2022. For information, call 514-481-5301 or visit kanefederley.com.
Wow, this room looks gorgeous.
Thanks. Come on in. Take a closer look.
Should I take off my shoes?
Why? This is the garage.
Imagine a new decorative coating for your garage floor and make it happen with Premier Sealers Epoxy Floor Coatings. Reduces dust, easy to maintain. You choose the color for an attractive, durable finish. Find out more about it and their other services at premiersealers.com. CAA recommended. Seal you later.
Hi, Tom here from Res AV. If you're looking to add more comfort and control to your home, ask us about a Lutron lighting system. With a click of a button, you can turn off any lights you may have left on when you leave the house. Time for bed? Hit the good night button. That will put all the lighting in the home to sleep. And having access to the lighting in the home while you're away, along with timers, will help you feel safe and in control. Call us at 514-439-3901 or visit resav.ca.
Adam, Germaine, Dave, Ashley, Doug, and Charlie.
Farmers looking for a partner. Think you could be the perfect match?
Anyone can apply to get on CTV's new matchmaking show, Farming for Love.
Go to ctv.ca/farmingforlove.
Casting closing soon.
This is Famous Lost Words. I'm Christopher Ward with Tom Joking as we continue our celebration of the stories behind the greatest Canadian hits ever. On the last episode, Christopher, I don't know if you remember, Gordon Lightfoot talked about the creation.
No,
This time, he's talking about perhaps a song that's even more well-known for him, If You Could Read My Mind.
It's another one of those airy kind of tunes. It has a lot of space in it. It just works. You sing it on stage, and the sound fills up the room. It doesn't matter if you're playing in a hockey arena or a concert hall. It doesn't matter what it is, outdoors. It just gets across, and it's a great song. And I never knew the song was any good at all, because the album that it was on was the first album I ever made for Warner Brothers, which was my sixth. And we didn't even, the album was already dead. It came up to about number 65 in Billboard with an anchor. And all of a sudden, a radio station in Seattle went on the song, and it became a hit. And I said, this is unbelievable. So this was my first hit, which I had myself, you see. I'd had hits by other people doing songs of mine, but it was the first time that I had a hit with one of my own, like a hit myself.
Number 63 with an anchor is a great line. Yeah. A friend of mine, Stephen Bishop, said he put out an album that went wood. That's great stuff. One more thing, Christopher, about that song, If You Could Read My Mind. When Whitney Houston had a hit with the song The Greatest Love of All, it had a line that sounded like Gord's song. Okay, so Adam, let's compare these songs. Here's the line from the Whitney Houston song in 1985. Okay, and now let's hear this line from If You Could Read My Mind from 1970. Never thought I could act this way, and I've got to say that I don't get it. So, Gordon hears that. He's working out in a club in 1985 in Toronto one day, and he hears the song, and he's going, wow, someone's redone my song. But then he realizes that it's a completely different song written by a songwriter named Michael Masser. So Gordon sues, but then he feels so bad about tainting Whitney Houston's success that he withdraws the suit and apologizes to Michael Masser, the songwriter. Wow. Which is a very classy move, considering that he had a very winnable case on his hands. And it speaks volumes about Gordon Lightfoot's character. Yeah. Has he ever articulated why he made the decision not to sue? Well, in the episode where I chat with Gordon, and that would be around episode 319. Well, I actually asked Gordon why he walked away from that. And what he says is he knew that Whitney was going through a lot of stuff at the time, and he didn't want to put any more, and he didn't want to take away from her achievement. Now, the thing is that was 1985, and I'm not sure that people really did know what Whitney was going through at the time. No, I don't think so. Right. But that's the way he explained it, and maybe he called up Michael Masser, and he actually apologized to him for even starting the lawsuit. And he said, I'm sorry, this was wrong-headed of me. And I'm talking about, like, when I talked to him in 2019, he seemed to have absolutely no Okay, now let's travel to August 1st, 1981. MTV signs on the air for the very first time. And of course, the first song they play, Christopher, is Video Killed the Radio Star. That's right.
I can't believe I forgot that. I thought it was fucking Nirvana Unplugged or something. Oh, Polly Shore. I have this t-shirt, this signature.
That's Just Between You and Me, April Wine from 1981. Well, in this clip from that same year, singer-songwriter and master strategist Miles Goodwin tears down the veil around one of April Wine's biggest hits.
Do you feel Between You and Me?
Can you park somewhere else.
Is it just the way the tune goes that you can feel?
My chalk.
The tune from the LP release as the
Well, it's the first single because everybody seems to like that song, okay? Now, the program right now, in the States especially, on AM radio is softer than it was 6 months ago. Where it's going to be 6
I should have
months
went out and started chalking right away.
Or nobody's saying. If somebody somewhere does. But right now it's soft. So if we had two choices, and one was rock and one was soft, and they were equally strong with the
whatever, dude.
At this point, you release the softer one. It's the only ballad on the album.
Really?
It's not a rhythmic ballad. It's not a piano ballad. It's a guitar ballad. And it seems to be catchy. So we'll just
whatever. I will chalk around you. I don't care.
Right back from I'm on fire for you, wouldn't want to lose your love, and we won't dance with me, etc., etc. You know, because as a producer and as a guy that's been in the business for 10 years, I think I have a pretty good ear for potential singles. And if I sit down and I have a choice of singing just between you and me, I know our love will be, or something else about my, I just painted my house. I mean,
that's alright. I'll chalk around your car.
You look for the right words. Yeah. The masters of that, of course, were the Beatles.
Too bad you can't lock your cab.
Phrase, the hard day night, ticket to ride, those kind of things. Very, very important. So
because you guys
from this great interview, Christopher, we now present When Rock Stars Attack. This is April Wine versus the city of Toronto, and it's fantastic.
Toronto, there's a love-hate relationship with Toronto and April Wine. I mean, I know that. It's always been there, from the early days.
My mom has a signature from the drummer.
I don't know why.
April Wine. Where my modeling picture should be.
Wined and dined the people of Toronto, and I think that's a big part of it.
It's in the living room on the wall. There's Kaylin, my grad picture, and then
every album sells, and we did 12,000 here, and life goes on. It bothers me. I can't say it doesn't bother me. I honestly can take criticism. I can take criticism, but I can't take malicious shots, which Toronto gives to everybody.
When can we expect to see Miles Goodwin and April Wine back in Toronto?
We're never going to play here again. Never. Unless maybe if they want us. No, I think that if the album does well, we love to play Canada. Even after 10 years, we still love it.
That is so great. We'll never play in Toronto again unless we come back this summer. That's so weird because there's such bitterness in what he's saying, and then he goes, yeah, we might come back.
I never want to see you again until all is forgiven. This is Famous Last Words. I'm Christopher Ward with Tom Jokic. And Tom, this has been so much fun delving into some of the greatest Canadian hits of all time. Have you got more, please?
I sure do, Christopher. As we celebrate the history of Canadian music on this special edition of Famous Last Words. So, last year, I had the great pleasure of talking to Gino Vanelli, and his story is amazing. Check out that episode. It's number 316.
And Tom, he could get into a lot of detail in his answers. So, ladies and gentlemen, pull up a chair and listen to Gino with the story of the classic song, Black Cars.
Black Cars is really not about a car at all.
Right.
It's about this woman that walks up and down Sunset Boulevard in a black fur and a kerchief and with dark sunglasses, that's got yarrow root makeup on her wrinkles and has missed the boat in life.
Mm-hmm.
And she's a very, very, I'd say sympathetic but maybe pathetic sight.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
And and this is a true story, she keeps to the shady side of the street. So when I went back home and I started waxing my black C28, I noticed that the shady side of the car always looks better than the sunny side, especially with a black car. And that's why black cars look better in the shade.
So you extrapolate that to a person who you see. You can see the wrinkles.
She's just a hyperbolic sense of ourselves.
Yeah.
She's everyone fears that. Everyone fears aging. Everyone fears not looking presentable, and everybody wants to look their best. It's just that somewhere along the line, she lost her logic, and her emotions took over.
Right.
And she never came to with herself and said, you know what, I've got to drop this.
Yeah. That's Gino Vanelli from 1984 and Black Cars. This is Famous Last Words. I'm Tom Jokic with Christopher Ward as we talk about some of the greatest Canadian songs ever. Coming up next, wait, that Kim Mitchell song is about what?
Design Louis George has been furnishing
fucking God. guys are fucking relentless. Oh my god. Oh my god. You are driving so fucking fast. You fucking dumbass. Hey, why? No, it'll be expired on my window. So wait a minute.
never been used. People always equate that with drinking and driving and
Right.
soda. And it's never, the song was never about that. It was about two people in conflict. So in one of your blue moods, you want to have it your way, I want it mine. All this debating going around.
Yeah.
Makes me thirsty for love. Might as well go for just like saying, let's just go somewhere. Like let's stop arguing.
Right.
It's said differently. So patio lanterns, that's been used. I see that. And then, Miami Vice had, it was a TV show a long time ago, Don Johnson. They used Go for Soda. And I didn't even know it was happening. I think Family Guys used it for the guys out east, Bubbles and all them.
Right,
They
Trailer
did,
Park Boys.
yeah, they did Go for Soda stuff. A lot of the times, I don't even know this is happening. It's in Letterkenny, once I was watching Letterkenny, and at the end of the show, the guy goes, yeah, too much John Cougar, not enough Kim Richards. Just out of the blue, and I'm like, what?
So great. Imagine watching Trailer Park Boys and they reference you and your music at the at the end of an episode. That's great stuff. And also, who knew that Go for Soda was about a relationship in
Jesse
turmoil?
Stewart was on Trailer Park
This is
Boys.
Famous Last Words
That's
as
the
we
first
look
I
at some of the
saw
biggest Canadian
him.
hits of all time. Okay,
And I was
so
like,
this is
what's
interesting.
the
This
random
next song
Chris
was
Punch
a hit
that are on
written by
Trailer
a
Park
Canadian,
Boys?
but
And it
performed
turned out
by a
that
huge
that was
international star.
Jesse
Okay, we'll
Stewart,
get to that in
and
a
he won a
second.
contest
It's by one
with
of our
Trailer Park
favorite
Boys.
guys who is a Canadian singer
And that mandolin
and
actually
songwriter
got
himself,
stolen at Fatal.
Mark Jordan. I know Mark
And
from
all
his
the
music
Trailer Park
in the
Boys had signed
70s,
it.
hits like Maria
And
Del
somebody
Rey,
fucking
Survival,
stole it
I'm
from
a
him.
Camera, many other songs. And Christopher, you know Mark personally, and we were able to talk to him several months ago, and we got to talking about a song that Mark wrote, but it became a big hit for a very big musician.
Rhythm of My Heart by Rod Stewart, written by Mark Jordan and John Capek. Now, Mark explains how that song changed his life.
Rhythm of My Heart was a demo that John Capek, my writing partner at the time, and I did. Rod heard it some years later, actually. We wrote it in '83, and he heard it 6 or 7 or 8 years after that. You know what a hit song is. It's the right artist at the right time.
Yeah.
In that career. And Rod called me. And then Rod said, I'm going to sing the shit out of this song. And he did. And it was, that was a big song. I worked with him through the years as well.
Is he a demanding guy to write for? Does he ask for changes?
Oh, yeah.
Well, give me an idea what he asks for.
Well, in Rhythm of My Heart, he wanted was across the street, the river runs. Down in the gutter, life is slipping away. It was about a guy lying in the gutter. And
I'm marching in there.
Yeah. and Rod didn't like that. And you have to respect that because artists know their audience.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't say something that their audience I wrote that for him.
There was a risk, as I recall, that record was not going to come out at the last minute, right?
That's right. George Bush went into it. Rhythm of My Heart is an anti-war song. It's about a guy that wonders if love has disappeared from the face of the planet because but the BBC in their wisdom said, we can't play this because there's references to war. Desert Storm only lasted 3 days, I think.
Yeah.
But they phoned me literally a week before it was to come out. They were not going to play it. And then the label went ballistic, and they said, you got to rewrite this. So I think I was up at my mother-in-law's cottage. I was up at my mother-in-law's cottage in Lake Simcoe in Toronto, north of Toronto, and rewriting like a madman.
And did you feel like you were neutering your own
I
style
didn't
there?
feel good about it. Didn't feel good. I never got anything I liked, and I never showed them anything. I thought it was just over, and then the war was over.
So a few minutes ago, you said that Rhythm of My Heart was a game changer for you. How was it a game changer?
Suddenly, more people heard about me,
as a songwriter, so I guess it was very good for his career.
I heard you say that he came over to my place with a Cheshire Cat grin and said, "Chris, I got a rod." I think I knew exactly what you meant. But also on a very practical level, that really will pay the bills for many years to come. Am I correct in that?
You got that right.
Yeah, sure. And Christopher and I have talked about that. You know,
It did in those days.
Yes.
It
yes.
wouldn't today.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's interesting. Because sometimes those songs have a long life, right?
Yeah.
You were talking about Black Velvet and how sometimes in these singing competitions, you know, like The Voice and American Idol and that kind of thing, if a song like that is played again, Christopher, you reap the rewards of that. And I'm sure that every once in a while that happens to you, where a person might sing that Rod Stewart song, and as a result, you reap the rewards of that. And that's so cool that you can write one song and it can live forever, but it can also pay practical dividends to someone like yourself.
No, it was a great time
Yeah.
to have a hit.
Great to talk to Mark Jordan about the song that changed his life and career, Rhythm of My Heart.
This is Famous Lost Words, where we dig up classic interviews from the archives and play the very best parts for you.
And if you like that chat with Mark Jordan, you'll probably love our episodes on songwriters, featuring the likes of Paul McCartney, Stevie Nicks, Jan Arden, and Carly Simon. Neil Finn of Crowded House, in one of my favorite moments, takes us through the creation of a song while strumming on a guitar. We also hear from Billy Joel, Mick Jagger, Elton John, and Taylor Swift. To hear those episodes and many more, simply find Famous Lost Words on the iHeartRadio app or Apple Podcasts and search any episode or artist you're looking for. Up next, the stories behind more Canadian classics, including a song that was turned down by the Beach Boys and ended up selling 14 million copies worldwide for a Canadian singer.
CTV Monday, it's time to ninja. The most elite athletes, the most difficult obstacle courses, the most innovative.
At premierkillers.com. CAA recommended. Deal you later. I want a cookie. Not just any cookie, of course. A Felix and Norton cookie. Great news. Felix and Norton now deliver their freshly baked gourmet chocolate chunk cookies anywhere in Canada. You can also order their easy-to-bake cookie dough and enjoy warm cookies anytime you want. And you'll get that fresh cookie smell in your kitchen that's so intoxicating. With simple online ordering, you can choose from all their delicious flavors and affordable gift ideas. Just go to felixandnorton.com and they'll take care of the rest. Felix and Norton, baking smiles since 1985. They've been a trusted name for over 60 years for handmade aerials, coated bronze, custom staircase runners, as well as hardwood floors and tiles. Come visit National Carpet's beautiful showroom. Choose from a vast selection of exclusive patterns and designs from around the world. National Carpet, 8995 Shelf Drive, facing Auto Route 15, just north of the Lackey Circle. StephanieMastonal.com. Are you running a startup or just trying to get your established business back on track? You need to take care of the bookkeeping and the financial statements. Macintosh Consulting can help. They'll do your accounting so you can focus on the operation. They'll take care of filing your corporate tax and business loans. Macintosh Consulting, 5396 Park Avenue. Book an appointment with a Macintosh Consulting rep at 514-276-0808. That's 514-276-0808. Tell me the station believes in being accountable to you, the listener, which is why we participate in the Canadian Broadcast Standards Council. We are committed to upholding the highest standards of broadcasting and adhering to the codes of conduct administered by the CBSC. If you have a concern about something you heard on our station, contact us or the CBSC at Post Office Box 3265, Station D, Ottawa, Ontario, K1P 6HC, or visit the CBSC's website, cbsc.ca. iHeartRadio, Canada's #1 streaming app for radio. Stay informed wherever you are with all your favorite talk hosts. How lucky are we that we settle our disputes through elections and radio? iHeartRadio. Download the free iHeartRadio app today.
Litchfield Opticians is now open. For full service by appointment only, call 514-481-2368. They always have your best interests at heart, so rest assured they've taken the necessary precautions to ensure your safety. As the Litchfield Opticians, they have a great selection of creative brands to choose from. Add to that, there's plenty of retail and service with a smile. That's service you can trust. That's the family touch. Litchfield Opticians. Victoria, Isabella, 514-481-2368. At Litchfield, you'll see. From the National Newsroom of the Canadian Press, I'm Nicole Green. We're following a massive network outage of Rogers Communications that shut down mobile and internet services across much of Canada. Continued to come into focus today, even as the company restored most services and began offering an explanation as to what happened. According to Netflix, the UK-based organization monitoring cybersecurity said the outage knocked out around 25% of Canada's observable internet connectivity at its peak. Richard LeBlanc, a professor of governance, law, and ethics at Toronto's York University, says parties such as hackers can now see how vulnerable Canadian industry, financial institutions, and healthcare systems are to an attack on a telecom provider. LeBlanc says he expects to see class action lawsuits as well as legal action from individual firms which attempt to quantify the cost of the outage. Christina Bouvet has been named the National Liturgical Director for the Papal visit to Canada later this month. The role requires the 36-year-old Roman Catholic priest to work with local organizers and the Vatican to ensure that any ceremonies that take place during the pontiff's visit reflect Indigenous and Catholic spirituality. He says it's important that both groups can meaningfully participate in the event.
Whenever we do something that we're doing it in a way that honors the meaning of that tradition or custom in its Indigenous context, while having a natural connection to whatever, from a Catholic perspective, we're doing with the Pope.
The visit takes place from July 24th to 29th and includes
Parliament says President Gotabaya Rajapaksa will step down from his position on Wednesday as the country has seen protests over the turning into a chaotic scene this weekend, with thousands of demonstrators storming the presidential residence. Rajapaksa's resignation comes not long after the country's prime minister also agreed to resign. The country's economic turmoil has seen acute shortages of essentials, leaving people struggling to buy food, fuel, and other necessities. Mark Remillard, ABC News.
As the U.S. basketball star detained in Russia, who was pleaded guilty to drug charges, is about to get some high-powered help. Reporter Chuck Severson has more.
Headed to Russia in the next weeks, Bill Richardson, an experienced negotiator in foreign prison situations. The former New Mexico governor tried to get a deal to free the detained WNBA star Brittany Griner. That from the source with knowledge of the planned trip to ABC News. Richardson played a role in getting the prisoner exchange in May, in which Russia released the U.S. Marine Trevor Reed after nearly 2 years in captivity.
Returning to play basketball in Russia, Griner was first detained at Moscow's airport in February. Police say they found big canisters containing cannabis oil in her luggage. This is the Canadian Press. In sports, the defending Grey Cup champion Winnipeg Blue Bombers wasted no time tonight flexing their muscles in a battle of unbeaten CFL teams. Janarius Grant returned to the opening kickoff 97 yards for a touchdown as the Blue Bombers kept rolling, recording a 43-22 win over the BC Lions in Vancouver. CF Montreal is looking to move closer to the top in Major League Soccer's Eastern Conference. Were upset by the last place Sporting Kansas City, losing 2-1 at home today. Elsewhere, Toronto FC allowed an injury time to San Jose Earthquakes today and had to settle for a 2-2 draw at AMO Field. Canada's women's under-23 basketball team will play for gold Sunday at the inaugural Global Jam Tournament in Toronto. And Dean Kramer combined with 4 relievers on a 5-hitter, and the Baltimore Orioles beat the Los Angeles Angels 1-0 tonight for their first 7-game winning streak in 5 years. From the Canadian Press, I'm Nicole Reese.
When things get darkest, we must be our brightest. We must love our hardest. You're listening to Better, and I'm your host, Mark Brand. I deeply believe that everyone has the power to leave the planet a better place than they found it. From my decades of frontline work, I see it happen again from all over, from the darkest corners of the world. This show was created as a guide to share stories of resilience and hope from individuals who have overcome challenges we all face, and help us all envision to build a better world. Every week, my incredible guests and I will give you access to the conversations we've been having behind closed doors, away from stages and away from traditional media. Until next week, we share the space with the explicit intention to empower you to be your biggest, brightest, most beautiful self, so we can build a better world together. Welcome to Better. It's been a return back since our friend, a mutual friend, Chris Latin, had us both speak